Yeah, Coach, just curious about your overall assessment of this year, maybe the biggest improvements with the strength and conditioning program that you've noticed and that you've seen.
Adaptability. It really is. You find out who's really in love with football when nothing gets in their way of training to get their job done. It's really been a cool thing, and I think it's reflective on how hard the guys are playing and how well they're getting along together. I mean, whatever situation they've been given, either they have to work out at home or they're here, they find a way to hang together, and it's really awesome. They get their job done.
Coach, we've got Dave Hyde from the Sun Sentinel. Dave, go ahead for Coach Feeley.
Yeah, Coach, that's sort of along my line of thinking. Guys work at home. What have you heard when guys can't come in to work with you or get the normal, work they get in a season? What are they doing at home, and what have guys done that you've heard?
Well, what you got to figure out is who can do what. Are they completely shut down? Can they work out? Can they not work out? You got to get clearance through our medical staff first and foremost. And once we figure out what they can do, as long as they can stay in some general shape while they're home, it's almost like they're general when they are home, and then they'll get specific once they come back into our walls. That's the best that we can possibly ask.
And how, compared to a normal year, is everybody in great shape? Or I'm sure every team is in somewhat the similar situation, but is the shape comparable to a normal year?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, our team speeds have been excellent, and the effort, which is intangible, is pretty high from our point of view. But with our GPS tracking system, we haven't skipped a beat.
Great, thank you.
Coach, we've got David Lake from 24/7. David, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, you play a big role in helping Coach Diaz set the culture for the program as a strength coach. And I was just wondering if we could get your sense, how things are better this season compared to last year. Obviously, winning helps in that regard. But, behind the scenes, what are you seeing in terms of the culture improving at Miami compared to last year?
I think it boils down to one word, and it comes from Coach Diaz on a daily basis, is connection. The more our guys are connected to each other, the harder they're going to work for each other, the more they're going to want to be around each other. And even if they're not around each other for some weird reason this year, they find ways to communicate with each other, just how you and I are right now. But connection's the word. It really is.
Who would you highlight as some of the guys that you've seen, in workouts or strength and conditioning stuff that help set the culture? Who would you highlight as the players on the team this year doing that?
Oh, I would say without a doubt, it would be De'Ara King. It would be Corey Gaynor. It would be Jalen Phillips. It would be Zach McLeod. It would be Louis Headley and Clay James. I mean, Cam Harris has done a phenomenal job with his group. We've got guys that they're not taking a back seat to the situation. So whatever they're presented with, they will rally the troops. And they're so inspirational. Once you're around them, those kind of guys, when they're reinforcing the message from the head football coach, they're not just drinking the Kool-Aid. They're making it, and they're awesome to be around. They really are.
Coach, we're going to go to Susan Miller-Degnan at the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead.
Hey, David, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. So how strange has this season been for you? How has your job changed? How much more difficult and why? And what's been the biggest challenge?
Well, I think you can do this. You can plan for very little and expect a lot to change daily. And I think the adaptability of our players has been tremendous. And every day, we're all following leadership. So every day, if something has to change, Coach Diaz lets us know, hey, we've got this. So this is our plan of action. And you have to be a master at your craft in order to be in situations like this, I think, because there are so many tricks thrown at you all the years that you've been doing, your job. And this is the year where you could get any trick thrown at you at any time of any day, maybe multiple times a day. and you've got to be able to just think on your feet and problem solve pretty quick. So we've all been doing that. It's been pretty calm, cool, and collected in the office as far as, what's our plan once we have our situation. And I think it's been great. I think it's a great challenge. I think it's been a lot of fun.
And David, how do you ensure when they're lifting, and following the so-called protocols and social distancing? Are you there? How do you know they're not getting too close? What's your job in that?
There are certain landmarks in the weight room that once they're lifting or once they're taking a break that they can be around, and they've got to keep their mask on when they're training. So it's those guidelines are set in place for a reason, and we're not bigger than that. So we need to adhere to the law and just be good citizens and abide by that and just keep everybody safe, because if we don't keep our players safe, which is Coach Diaz's number one priority, we don't have a program.
Coach, we've got David Furones from the Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, to your point on adaptability, who are some of the guys over the last 2 weeks, which I know had to be difficult with guys that had to stay away and maybe socially distanced workouts, that have really kind of taken this opportunity to improve their bodies, and also maybe some of the young guys? Could you note some young guys that have transformed their bodies the most this season?
It's a really long list. I would do a disservice if I started rattling off names. Again, it's once those guys, once they go away, or once we're on a break, or the few times that it's happened this year, and it's they all find a way to come back together. When Will Mallory comes back and he's a solid 245, and Brevin's 245 to 250, that's pretty good for us. It's a big man's game, and those guys, they did a tremendous job. And that's just to name two out of many. But those young guys, they're on their way, weight gain wise and lifting wise, to developing into something pretty good. They've improved tremendously since the first day they stepped on campus.
Coach, we've got time for just a couple more. We're going to go to David Wilson at the Miami Herald. David, go ahead.
Hey, David, following up on something that David Lake, a lot of Davids on this call, asked about I think it was him, about guys who've kind of set the culture. Obviously being away, being apart, it's hard to kind of maintain that. Have you seen guys do anything specifically, whether it's on like a big Zoom call, or are there certain things you've kind of done? Because obviously a big part of your job is motivating, that to kind of do that from afar in, stretches like the last 2 weeks or even over the summer.
Well, I'll say this: you pick out the leaders of each position group, and you want to kind of start there. Hey, how are you doing? How's your family? How's the situation going? Because I mean, if you don't show them how much you care about them personally, they're really not. Your relationship's not going to go anywhere. And then they'll open up naturally, like, hey, coach, I'm working hard. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And either they'll say that they're keeping in touch with other people in their position groups, or I'll ask that question. But, usually it's, when you talk to a guy like De'Eric, be like, hey, coach, man, I FaceTime with a bunch of guys today, and, we're getting it. They're getting this in, they're getting that in. And, our guys are working, coach. Don't worry about it. And Mike Harley's a big part of that conversation as well.
And one other quick follow-up. You might have told this story before, but obviously you and Manny like very quickly crossed paths at Temple, and kind of talking about how you and Manny kind of set the culture together. Do you just remember that first meeting, and I don't know what kind of drew you to him immediately?
It was the job interview, and I'll say this, that the number one thing that intrigued me the most is, when he went on a mission, and I had learned that, on his spring break one year, and that was pretty cool. But it was just how he liked to develop a person, and the line was, if you help create a better person, they'll naturally become a better player. And that's that's why strength coaches get into the business, is to help people, and usually someone had impacted their lives in that kind of fashion, and it certainly happened to me, and that was music to my ears, and ever since then I've been extremely fortunate to work for him.
Coach, last one for you. We're going to go back to Chris Stock at Inside the U. Chris, go ahead for Coach Feeley.
Coach, curious about who you think the fastest guy is on the team, and then also the strongest guys on the team in relation to their body size, or maybe position that are the most impressive there in the weight room.
The fastest guys we have would be Wiggins and Knighton. Those would be the fastest guy. Pope would be up there as well, for sure. But as far as, for their size, it would be Cam Harris. It would be Don Chaney. And it would be, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on my third one. I had a ringer too, man. It was really good. Oh gosh. Al Blades, excuse me. Yep, it was Al Blades.
Awesome. Coach, thanks for spending a few minutes with us today, and good luck this week in practice. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach Feeley.